Check it out. The average American moves 11 times in their lifetime. And this question comes up like, should I rent? Should I buy? If I bought a house, should I sell it? And my buddy is literally waiting in the lobby because he found out he's moving to Texas and he literally wants to know, like, should he sell his home or should he keep it? Let's find out. CG.
Kris, how are you?
Dude, what's up, brother? How are you?
Hey, good.
Dude, I'm sad to hear that you guys are like,
it's official.
We're
moving to Texas, yeah.
Are you excited about it?
I'm super excited.
Is it a good job move?
It's a great job move.
Okay, awesome. But you have a question.
Well, we got a home. Don't know if we should sell, buy. What are my options?
Awesome. Follow me. Let me show you.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go. I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go.
So here's what we're gonna do. Best way for me to share this with you is to do it right here in the YouTube studio. Have a seat right here. And what I want to do is I want to show you a couple things first, because I think you have three major options to look at. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach CG all three of these, and then we're actually going to dive into his personal finances, maybe what yours look like. We're going to whiteboard it, and you're going to walk away with the answer to this question. CJ, is this what your house looks like?
Not quite.
Okay, well, we'll just pretend for the moment that it does. This is the dilemma so many people have. I'm moving. So what should I do? Should I sell or should I rent? And I'm going to tell you right now what most people do. Most people are like, I'm a human and I live in a house, and a house is for living in, so I should just probably sell it and just have one house. But if you are a subscriber on my channel, you probably have a little weird itch happening thinking, wait a second, I don't think that's what Kris would do. What would Kris do? You're about to find out. So let's talk about the dilemma, right? 1 in 4 US adults reported moving within the country in the past 5 years. Whether it's for a new job, to move closer to family, or to seize your dream home, the big decision becomes, should I sell my house or rent it out? Renting can be expensive, time-consuming, difficult to manage, but selling can mean forfeiting equity or missing out on rental income in the future. And let's be honest, I don't think anyone ever woke up and thought to themselves, when I grow up, I want to be a landlord. I want to fix toilets. I want to get 1 a.m. phone calls. This is going to be great.
So my toilet is stopped up. So just keep going. No! Oh!
All right, check it out. CJ, here's your first big option. Just sell the dang thing, right? It's like fresh start. I can move to Texas. I end one life. I start a new life. Well, 58% of Americans feel that their finances are beyond their control. They crave to sell their house, consolidate their debts, and hope to start over in a better financial situation. And you know what? If you've owned a home that has gained in appreciation, you start fantasizing about things like, I'm gonna pay off my credit card debt, my student loans, and I'll take whatever's left and I'm gonna move that into my next house. That'll lower the payment. And you know what? That'll mean more discretionary income. I mean, come on, my goal is to eventually pay off that one home anyway. Isn't that the smart thing to do? I mean, come on, this is common sense, isn't it? Society's game plan basically says ultimately when I retire, I want to have money in my retirement account, I want to have no debt, and I want my house paid off. Here's what most people aren't considering. If your house is paid off, you have eliminated your biggest expense. If you have no debt, then your bills are going to be at a minimum. But guess what? You can't eat no debt. You still need money to live off of. And did you know that the average person in their 60s only has $200,000 on average set aside for retirement? That's only going to last a few years. So there's a bigger financial dilemma, which is why my advice today is not going to be necessarily, hey, take the easy street, just pay everything off, consolidate your debts, take whatever you have left and work towards society's game plan of, gosh darn it, I want a paid off house and no debt, because that may leave you awfully disappointed when retirement comes around.
I am very disappointed.
So you could sell the house and basically eliminate your debt and then go rent something in the future, maybe get something different. This second option, however, is different. This is intentionally selling, and then it's because you want to upgrade and you want to buy something new. You see, whether up the road or across the country, the biggest reason that Americans moved last year was for better housing options. They sell their home to raise the down payment for their next home and start paying off that new home. In other words, this is a strategy for some people to make sure that this little guy gets itself paid off because it's such an important goal. Can I tell you though, as satisfying as you think it's going to feel to be completely out of debt and have a paid off home, Do you know how many people I meet in their 50s and 60s that now have achieved that goal and they're stressed out of their mind because getting out of debt was just the start to what would actually create real financial security. There's a residual income that you need coming in when you can no longer work. There's job income that you enjoy that you have to replace someday. That's got to come in, and no debt might shrink that number a little bit, but it doesn't make it go away. Most people still need thousands of dollars every month after having no debt to live the life that they want, to do the travel that they want, to visit their grandkids or do whatever is important to them. Dreams cost money, and so if all you do is move from one unit to the next and work on getting it paid off, you might be missing out on something far more important. 2 years ago, something crazy happened in the country. Prices spiked in real estate. Nationwide, most areas experienced some type of 40 or 50% increase. And so nationwide, when you look at that, that means that the average person, the home that they bought, it increased in value not $10,000 or $20,000, but $50,000 and $80,000 and $100,000+. So they've got all this money now sitting as equity in their home, and they don't necessarily know what to do with it. This, by the way, can be used to eliminate debt. You could use it to get into a bigger, nicer house. But think about it this way. If one house went up $100,000, what do you think happens if you own 10 of them? 10 homes, 100,000 plus 100. Kris, that's $1 million. Hello? That's how the 90% of all Americans actually become millionaires. It's because they own more than one home.
But I also bought these 3 houses.
All right, check it out. For you, for my friend CJ, there is a third option. Consider this. Keep the house. Huh? You could keep your home as an investment property and buy a new primary residence. Take out a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, and you can put 3.5% towards a down payment on another property. So for example, if you have this $250,000 home, and let's say it'll rent for $2,500 a month, and your mortgage payment is only $1,250 per month, plus $400 in property taxes and insurance, then you would have a cash flow of roughly $850 a month by keeping it. And guess what? It supplied the money for a second property. Now, not one home is going up in value, but 2. And guess what? You've actually increased your family's income $850 a month, or approximately an extra $10,000 a year. Now think about it. If one simple move could actually increase your net worth across 2 homes, tens of thousands of dollars a year, you get all the tax write-offs, and you have a positive cash flow, how is that a bad plan? I know what you're thinking. Yeah, but Kris, that sounds like work, and how do you landlord out of state, or what if I just don't want to landlord at all? We've got some options.
Failure is not an option.
All right, buddy, let me ask you. Did that give you some ideas?
Absolutely.
Do you have some questions?
I definitely do.
Well, right now what I want to do is we're going to go to the table, and I'm going to ask you specific questions, and we're going to actually map out specifically what it looks like for CJ. Come on. All right, so we're going to get financially naked, but it doesn't require you to take your clothes off. All right, here we go. Your home, I'm right-handed. Your home right now that you're living in, it has a value. What do you think it's maybe worth right now?
Somewhere around 500.
Okay. And what do you owe on it?
$360.
$360,000, okay. And when you move to Texas, this is happening pretty soon, right?
Yeah, in the next 4 weeks.
Have you identified a home that you want to get there?
No, not currently.
So you're stuck right now. It's like, do I sell it? Do I rent it? You probably got to go down and check the market out and figure out where you want to move your family?
Correct.
Have you done that yet?
We have done that yet. But we're looking at renting for the time being.
Okay, and the reason why you're looking at renting is why?
Because basically we don't have a plan in place.
Okay, well, we're going to get a plan going right now. So CJ has right now around $140,000 in total equity. If he sold the home, there's going to be some selling costs. And what I want to do is I want to look at a plan A and a plan B, and we're going to map them out together, and I want to see which one makes more sense in theory. And then you're going to have to weigh it against some of the emotional issues, because there's financial smarts, and then there's also what's right for you and your family.
Right.
Make sense? By the way, if you could own instead of rent in Texas, would you prefer that?
If I could own instead of rent in Texas, absolutely, I would prefer that.
Okay, cool. So check it out. We are going to do option A is where we are going to sell and buy, and option B is where we are going to keep and buy. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so if we sell, let's say after costs, let's just say that you're planning on netting $120,000. That sound about fair?
Okay.
Now, you're not going to owe any taxes on that. Do you know why? Because in the last 5 years, have you lived in that home for at least 2 of those years?
No.
Oh, tell me about it. How long have you lived in it?
We bought the home in October of last year.
Oh, so literally you just got this really sweet equity spike and you haven't even been in it for 2 years.
Yep.
Dude, that's called the advantages of real estate, which is why you're gonna see me lean a little bit over here, right?
Exactly.
Because if one home treats you well, just imagine how well more homes treat you. As long as you have a good plan, right? So check it out, CG. If you sell, you are going to have some capital gains. Let's just say at the end of the day that you're going to get $100,000 net. We're going to assume that you're 20% capital gains on that. So this $100,000, what you can do is you could actually roll that into a new home. And Texas is a much less expensive market. To get an equivalent home for you and your family, what do you think price range is going to look like there?
You know, price range actually in Austin, Texas right now is a little high. The median somewhere around $535.
Okay.
I think the homes that we've been looking at have been somewhere around the 500 range.
Okay, so basically similar to what you have right here, but you're used to a mortgage of $360,000.
Correct.
So let's just say you find a $500,000 home, you put the $100,000 down payment on it, and what you're basically going to do is you're going to buy a home that's valued at $500,000. You're going to owe $400,000 on it. And by the way, that's what most people would do. That's what the majority do, and that would feel kind of good, right? Because it's like, hey, I've already got my home 20% paid off because I was smart last October in buying a house. That's your first option. Is this an appealing option to you?
Not really.
Why not?
Because I've bought before, I've sold before, and that's gone. It's in the past. So I'm looking towards the future, and I need to start investing. I want to go from being a homeowner to a home investor.
Got it. So let me tell you a quick story about the first home that I actually bought. I started buying other homes, and when my wife and I had the opportunity to sell it, we sold it and made like $65,000 on it. I was so excited. I went to the bank, and when I deposited the check, I just wanted 2 things. I wanted the teller to like be proud of me. This was just really stupid and immature. It was like the coolest thing I'd financially ever done before. I was so young and dumb. But I also wanted to get the little slip from the bank that said that I had a balance of $65,000. So remember, I did it. I deposited the money. She didn't smile at me. I was a little disappointed, but I got the slip that said that my bank account had gone up by that amount of money. And I remember walking out of the bank thinking I was going to feel so proud of myself. And the moment I stepped outside, I felt horrible. You know why? I realized that I could have kept the home. I could have done a HELOC or a refinance. I could have kept cash flowing it, taking enough money out to put it into another property, which is what I was going to do anyway. And my portfolio would have been bigger and stronger. I financially hurt my family because I wanted a feeling from having a certain amount of money in the bank. Sounds like you've been through something similar.
Very similar.
So let's swap places, and we're now going to the attractive option B. You ready for this?
I'm ready for this, Kris.
Okay, so there's a couple of parts with this. The first one is, let's see if we can get a home equity line on this bad boy. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna pull up my calculator right here, and basically we're going to, a bank will let you go up to about 80%. So I take 500,000 and times it by 0.8. Banks will pretty much give me about to 40,000. So I'm gonna get basically, because the difference of what I owe 360 and 400 is 40 grand, I could get a HELOC for $40,000. By the way, is $40,000 enough to be a down payment on a home in Texas?
Not quite.
It is. Let me show you why. Here's my $500,000 home. I'm gonna times that by the minimum of a 3.5% down payment. It's gonna be $17,500. In other words, the home that you bought just in October actually will fund your down payment on a home in Texas. And then you actually have and get to keep both homes. Did you know you could do that?
I didn't know I could do that.
You can do that. By the way, do you know how much you have to pay a bank to give you a home equity line of credit?
How much?
Nada, free 99. They don't charge you for this thing, so it's kind of actually a cool option. Now, it's not your only option, but it is a way for you to keep the home and actually have it do that and maybe help you with some of your moving costs or anything else that you need, because $40,000 and you only need $17,000 of that. You almost have enough money for 8, 9, 10% down payment, but you only have to do 3.5, worst case scenario 5% on $500,000, which is going to be $25,000. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what you can do there is basically keep them, buy them, and if you keep it, there's a couple of things that you can do with it. One is you can just do a straight rental, and right now, what do you think your home would rent out for? Are you familiar with the market?
I'm not familiar with the market.
Okay. What's your mortgage payment on this right now?
21.
So this $500,000 home, there's a good chance that it's going to rent for $24, $25, $27, $2,800. So there's room for positive cash flow. But if you actually do a lease option, which is what I teach in one of my books called The Strait Path to Real Estate Wealth, there's a way for you to put a family in there that'll give you $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 down, and they're going to pay a higher amount, like $3,000 or $3,200 a month, giving you potentially $1,000 a month or $800 a month positive cash flow. Now, a lease option self-manages itself because these people agree to eventually buy the home, take care of the home, upkeep the home, invest in the home, and do all of these things.
Right.
So it's a really great strategy if you're moving away to do something like that, or you can just go with a straight rental. And what that means is you get to benefit from the depreciation and the positive cash flow on one home while you start getting the benefits of a second home. And this move officially makes you an investor. Does it make sense?
Absolutely.
So what do you want to do?
I want to do a lease option and a HELOC. Buy a new home.
Congratulations, my friend. Dude, I'm super pumped for you. I know that you for years have been wanting to get into the real estate investment game. And because you bought your family a home in October, took advantage of smart timing, you get to win right now and you get to play that game. So congratulations. By the way, does that give you some ideas for your life? So CJ, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, okay, so I'm a little confused about the 3.5% on a down payment. I understood when we're investing in homes, it's 20% down.
Got it. So understand this cool caveat. 3.5% down payment pertains to what they call a first-time home buyer. But first-time home buyer doesn't mean the only time in your entire life you ever buy a home. In October, you were a first-time home buyer, and now you're moving to Texas and you're about to become a first-time home buyer, which means that you can keep that house and get that same exemption for 3.5% or 5% down payment because you're not buying an investment property. You're actually buying a home for you and your family to live in, and the bank views that as a less risky scenario, which is why they require a much smaller down payment. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Knowledge is half the battle. G.I. Joe!
G.I. Joe!
Listen, it can be incredibly scary to figure out how to get into the investing game for the first time. I wish there was someone that you knew that's done it like almost 7,000 times, over $1 billion worth of real estate. Wouldn't it be cool to have that person as a partner? Now listen, if you're watching this video at this point, you either like me or hate me. You're like, this guy's full of it. Why are you still watching my video? But if you actually kind of like me and you subscribe and you watch my videos every day and you watch maybe hundreds or thousands of others, now might be the time for you to consider partnering with me. As in, there's a link below and you can learn how to take equity from a home, just like CJ has, and actually partner with me. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take you into the very best markets, because out of 324 markets that make the US, there's only 5 markets that I wanna be an investor in at this particular time. Guess why? Because I get the highest ROIs. The kind of ROIs where compared to the stock market over 20 years, I can kick its trash 27 plus times over and create something very real for my financial future. So if you have equity in a home or maybe money in a 401k or IRA and you're looking for a smarter way, click that link below and learn about partnering with me. If you put up the money for the down payment, I will do all of the work on the deal and we will split the profits 50-50 and roll it into a multi-million-dollar portfolio.
So Kris, how much more money can I make on a lease option than with a rental?
Check it out. Lease option can literally make you twice as much money. And if you want to learn how to do that, you should watch this video. Let me show you how. If it makes you feel that I do this to my wife. You know, when I'm on camera, there's a part of my brain for things that I should know that goes fuzzy.
Every father does it that way, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Stick with CJ.
It's CJ, but only in the video, okay? I changed your name to protect you.